Hi, I'm Yilin Zhang, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
I'm Erin Palmer, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
And I'm Monique Diop, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
Joining us is Stephania from Defend Yourself.
Hi, how are you? My name is Stephania Mahdi, and I am a trainer with the organization Defend Yourself. We are local to the DMV, and we train in bystander and self-defense empowerment.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Stephania. So please tell us a little about your background and experience.
Yeah, so I started training with Defend Yourself about 7 years ago. I took one of our intensive multi-week classes, and I learned so many important skills that I love to share with other people. Most of them have to do with, setting healthy boundaries in relationships, which can be reflective of strangers and even as personal as like your mom, your children, aunts, uncles, etc.
Yes. Setting limits and de-escalating techniques, we all need those.
Thank you for sharing your background, Stephania. And it's really great to hear that you started taking the classes and you were inspired to do this work. So before we discuss the main portion of today, which is the upcoming Defend Yourself online event, would love for you to tell us a little bit more about just what your organization does so that viewers who don't know can learn a little bit more.
Yes, so we have been training in DC for almost 20 years now. The pandemic provided us the opportunity to share our skills with a broader community via Zoom. So we primarily teach empowerment self-defense, which has a lot to do with setting boundaries, learning to say an effective no, physical strikes, and verbal self-defense, as well as boundary setting and assertiveness, which also includes bystander intervention to include de-escalation. So those are some of the skills that we teach in our classes. We have many different classes taught in person and in Zoom. Some of them are as easy as like 1 hour to 2 hours. And like I said, we have a multi-week class, which includes, we get deeper into the physical self-defense where we do ground fighting, how to, protect yourself against physical, verbal abuse.
That's great. And I was doing a little bit reading about Defend Yourself, and I was reading about how the founder, when she started, she took some classes about self-defense and really felt she really felt empowered. So empowerment is so incredibly important. What do you see when you do these trainings, the participant, the changes that they go through emotionally and mentally and physically? What kind of transformation do you see them go through?
So the transformations can be so broad. So many times what I'm most inspired about is that we have young girls and women saying for the first time that they didn't know that they could say no to something. And that's a big aha moment to know, like, I don't have to say yes to everything. I can set boundaries. I can center myself. With physical self-defense, we have participants coming to our classes that may not be able to find their voice and come in a little bit timid, not so, strong in their voice, strong in their physical strikes, but through practice as a group where we're supporting each other through this process, by the end of our intensive class, we do like break a board with our bare hands. So you really get to test, your physical abilities combined with the verbal self-defense that we're teaching as well.
That's incredible. And I know earlier, right before we came on, the organization was just awarded a grant through the DC Mayor's Office on LGBTQ Affairs. Can you tell us a little bit about the grant and what the organization hopes to do with the grant?
So the grant's a wonderful opportunity for us to specifically teach the DC trans community on some self-defense and empowerment. We don't have the classes scheduled yet, but that should be upcoming. You can find those on our social media and our website. But the hope is to kind of continue the work that we've been doing. Our classes focus on people that are more prone to be victims of violence, which includes women, non-binary people, LGBTQ people, and to include trans people. So the grant just allows us to work specifically within the trans community and hopefully, provide some of these skills so that people can prevent assault, harassment, and abuse.
So when we're talking about defend yourself and defend yourself's programming, I think people often think of the self-defense component, but I know that you offer bystander intervention and even some workplace conduct training. And I'm wondering if you can talk about those programs as well.
Yes. So the bystander intervention is really critical because we're living in a time where there's street harassment, hate violence, and other sorts of harassment. And our skills teach you how to, one, step into a situation and de-escalate to bring the temperature down. And then also skills that you can use that may not be so direct, that you can maybe use to distract a situation, different skills that can build upon how to just kind of bringing that temperature down. So on one side, we have aggressiveness, which is like kind of setting your boundaries and setting, that line that you don't want someone to cross. On the flip side, we also want people to be able to intervene when they see someone that's hot and to help calm down that situation for the targeted person.
I think that's so important because oftentimes people see harassment and just don't know exactly how to respond to it and may freeze or realize that something is wrong, but not have those built-in skills to intervene.
Yeah, absolutely. The bystander effect is something that we talk about in class as well. Many people assume that if they see something that someone else is going to do something, and we teach skills to kind of break that bystander effect, to know that you have the power and the right to step in if you see something happening that you don't agree with.
Thank you.
Those are awesome strategies. And, when you have a strategy, that's when your courage comes in. So I know that this class teaches about verbal gestures and rudeness and things like that, but do you also teach physical defense, and do you do it online?
Yes. So I think of self-defense, empowerment, self-defense in two ways: our verbal, which we've talked about a little bit, and of course the physical. One of the key things that I take away from our physical self-defense is that it's not super complicated. We make it so that anybody with any ability can do it. They're not super complicated karate strikes or ikkyo grips or anything like that. It's very simple techniques that would be strong and effective in like stopping someone from hitting you and getting away to safety. So we use a variety of fists, elbows, knees, feet, and we can teach them in person when we have the opportunity to actually strike and use our bags and hit objects. And we can still practice them in Zoom, just the fundamental basics. And we hope that people can practice later on and just kind of see how it feels to use some of the strikes within your body. Like Erin was saying, sometimes you can go into that freeze part of a trauma response. And so practicing the skills really helps you to move through that freeze to kind of get into a fight and then get to safety.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that information, Stephania. And organizations have really needed to be creative in working in this virtual environment. So appreciate that all of you have continued to do this work in a virtual capacity. And now I'd like to pass it to my co-host, Erin, for the next question.
Sure. We're wondering if you can tell us about what is upcoming for you all on November 5th.
Yes, so November 5th, we are continuing our Holidays with Family, Skills for Difficult Conversations. And so this is going to focus on that verbal self-defense when you come into conflict with family or conversations that are uncomfortable or appropriate. So these are going to be skills that you use with people that, of course, you want to have relationships with. These are not going to be setting hard boundaries. These are kind of centering yourself and finding ways to set your boundaries with people that you love and care for, which I think is really essential. Like I said in the beginning, I use these strategies almost all the time with family and people that you know, which is the most people that you're going to come in contact with. So this class is really a great way to build those skills, to kind of assert yourself and let your family know like what you are and are not okay with.
So I was looking online and it looks like it's maybe like a 2.5 hour class. And the cost on that is $65. So are you offering any type of discounts or concessions for that class?
Yes, so this is very normal for us. We have a set cost for participants, but we also say come as you are, come with whatever abilities that you have. So there is a sliding scale for pay, and if members cannot afford it, they can still sign up and take the class. We don't want to turn anyone away. We work with a diverse set of communities, and we want to make the classes accessible to everyone.
And these classes, how often do you have these classes? And if the participants, they really enjoyed the class, which I'm sure they will, how can they get more involved?
So we're offering classes weekly, if not monthly, mostly at this point via Zoom. We have started in-person classes. We had one on October 23rd at the Rage in DC. And you can find our classes at classes@defendyourself.org, or on social media. Our Facebook is The Defend Yourself, and IG is @TheDefendYourself. So those are ways to get in contact with us to find out about more classes. We teach a really diverse community. We've taught everything from college students, Girl Scouts, trans, non-binary community, different federal agencies, outdoor groups. So it's the skills can be used in a variety of environments.
That's wonderful.
Yes, that sounds like a lot of information that you've given us. So can you please let us know where we can learn more about what we just discussed? If you could just repeat maybe the websites or how we can reach you on social media.
Yeah, so the best way is to contact us at our website at classes@defendyourself.org, and at Facebook at The Defend Yourself, and IG at the @ The Defend Yourself. So those are the best way to get. And of course, always just Google Defend Yourself. You can find our classes and more about our instructors and the different sort of classes that we teach as well.
Thank you so much. And before we sign off, is there anything else that you'd like to add to this conversation, Stephania?
Yes, so besides our classes, one thing that we love to think about in self-defense is, like, we say no a lot, but we're trying to create a world where you learn to say yes to something as well. So when you know your no's, your yeses are that much more impactful. So I think one of the biggest takeaways is setting those boundaries and finding the ways that when you say yes, that you mean it, and it's coming from a place of consent.
That's so important. Well, thank you so much. And viewers, links are in the description. And thank you again, Stephania, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this time.
Thank you. Viewers, please follow Team Rayceen on social media.
And please also subscribe to the Team Rayceen YouTube channel.
Most of all, thank you for watching.